Galatians 5:22 and 23, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. Today we will be discussing and going over the fruits of the Spirit. Let's do it. Corinthians 13, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass, or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries, and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass, darkly. But then face to face. Now I know in part. But then shall I know even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. The first fruit of the Spirit that Paul states is love. As he wrote in the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, he gives us all the characteristics of love. Many of us today, as followers of Yahweh, often overlook all these characteristics. Love is something we see in Yeshua, then why is there so much of the opposite in this world? I'm sure you already know the answer to that. Do you have love? Psalm 16:11, Thou wilt shew me the path of life, in thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. The next fruit of the Spirit is joy. What is joy? Unlike love, we don't have an entire chapter dedicated to it. Many people's joy comes from exciting things, like theme parks, movies, things that make your heart pump faster, something exhilarating. Others find joy in small things, like reading books, or spending time by themselves. I think Psalm 16 verse 11 perfectly explains where our joy should come from, being in the presence of Elohim. When we dwell in the presence of Elohim, and obey His commandments, that's when we will experience real joy. Do you have joy? Proverbs 14:29, He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. Long-suffering or patience is another thing that a lot of people struggle with, including me. I think the verse is pretty self-explanatory, but patience takes a whole ton of willpower to obtain. But as we know, with Yah all things are possible, according to His will of course. Do you have long-suffering? Colossians 4:5-6, Walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. Gentleness is another thing I struggle with. For some people they think answering in a rude way shows strength, others character issues, or that's just how they are. No matter what reason it is, remember that people with wisdom are those that can speak gently, no matter the circumstance. Continue praying that you will be able to speak in love, not in malice, but with gentleness. Do you have gentleness? Psalm 25:6-7, Remember, O Yahweh, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindnesses, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to thy mercy remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, O Yahweh. A ton of people or so-called Christians have a genuine issue of looking at other people's wrongs instead of looking at their own wrongs. I think it's a pride issue cause where in the Bible does it give you the authority to judge? Now many people think judging is calling out sin by its real name. Yahweh calls us to hate what He hates, and to make light of the abominations. But when it comes to looking down on other people because of their ignorance or decision to do sin, that's when it's wrong. Yahweh our Master is a perfect example of goodness. Even though he met many different types of people, he was still able to show them love and goodness. Do you have goodness? Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Again, pretty self-explanatory verses, but even with these verses some people struggle a lot with not having faith. They can't see the vision. They find it impossible to see what's ahead without having constant doubt. Faith is something that takes practice. Living day-to-day life takes faith. Everything we do takes faith. Faith is something we build up over time. With Elohim everything is possible. Do you have faith? 1 Peter 3:15. But sanctify Yahweh Elohim in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meanness and fear. Meanness or humbleness is the opposite of pride, which is the reason why Satan was cast down from heaven. There's tons of people who struggle with not having meanness. Tons of people seek worldly validation, and that's the only thing they live off of. Meanness also means that you're gentle and you don't boast, you know. The only validation we need is from Elohim. Keep praying and we'll get there. Do you have meanness? Proverbs 25:28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down, and without walls. Temperance or self-control isn't just about food. Temperance covers a wide variety of our daily lives. Some are born with it, some are born without it. I know I don't have to explain much about temperance, since I know a lot of people are aware of their lack or abundance in it. Remember, with prayer and fasting all things are possible. Do you have temperance? Thank you all for sticking with me till the end of the video. I hope you have a blessed day.